Rob, cheers.
Cheers. It's so good to see you again.
Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. Leave the bottle there. You can help yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like picking off exactly where we were. I moved into Bitcoin late because I work for blockchain companies right now. That's my main job.
Okay.
I write for them. But if you got some hookups for that IPO next year, right? You just filed the S1, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Airbnb is one of these companies that I would one, work for. You have experience with them, but also two, I really respect from afar, man.
Well, you have a lot of experience with it, right? You got started so early.
Not a lot. Not as much as you do.
But you were on the guest side, the host side, the community side, all aspects of it.
Yeah. That's how. Okay, just to clarify this, we talked about this a bit beforehand, but you and I met. Essentially, I was renovating and handling some Airbnbs in Shanghai in 2013 with my partner at the time, Patrick. And honestly, it was such a huge learning experience in so many ways.
It's amazing.
Those were hard to manage. I don't know how people do it now. I think that's a more common model, right? Like people having multiple ones and running an operation. Yeah. One-man show back then was fucking difficult, man.
So you had to clean.
No. Okay. I didn't do the actual cleaning. It's real. But even just like there was this one time where it was like around this time of year. It was like 1 a.m. and like something went wrong. There was like no electricity or some shit. It was like little shit like that, right? And it wasn't even that far. I was like living here and I had to go to Xintiandi. But just like 1 a.m., it was like a Tuesday night, and I'm just like, fuck, I do not want to do this.
I hear you.
Yeah, that's when I knew. Yeah. You were part of the original, opening team, operating team?
So I was part of the original founding team for Asia back in 2011.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, man.
It's fucking impressive, man.
And the whole goal then was my goal personally was to bring Airbnb into China.
Yeah.
But the first, the sub goal of that was to help Chinese experience a new way of seeing the world, right? Because you got to remember at that time Chinese thought traveling was purely just staying in 5-star hotels.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So you thought by having other people, foreigners, come here and do it, it would make Chinese people go, oh, I wonder what it would be like if I did it the other way. Or within China.
So, yeah. I mean, ironically, a lot of in the early days, the number one traveler for supply in China was Chinese.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And then when they stayed in a listing, your listing in Shanghai, it made them want to go and do the same thing in Italy.
Interesting.
That's cool, right?
Yeah. That is really cool. Because I guess in a way you experience it in a safe zone. And then you want to go, oh, now I wonder. Because foundationally, it's a very different experience, right? Like staying in an Airbnb. I think especially back then. Yeah. I think now, especially going public, they have to kind of standardize things more and more.
That's right.
Right? They have
it's like a hotel.
Yeah, safety and security more than anything, right?
Yeah.
But back then, it was especially here. I feel like it was the Wild West. Like we had to figure out so much shit, bro. You imagine doing these lane houses on Airbnb back. I mean, right? It was a nightmare trying to explain. No, first you gotta go turn left, and then this. Yeah.
The key exchange.
Yeah.
The midnight calls.
How thin the walls are. How bad. Yeah, I'm sure you guys had a lot. Yeah.
But it was good. It was an experience. I mean, the biggest thing what I loved was the community. It was the hosts like yourself. By the way, the hosts like yourself, in many ways, don't exist today.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair though, we also did it for the money. There was never a non-money factor for us. Yeah.
Yeah, but you put your heart into it.
Oh, well, I was young. I put my heart into a lot of things. It's why I don't put my heart in shit anymore. Yeah.
But other things and other things too.
Yeah. Overall positive experience though, right? Yeah. Learn a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I was there for 6 years. And it was a once in a lifetime experience. Now we're going IPO, so I never thought it would happen.
Really? When you were there, that wasn't the plan?
No. I mean, those investors obviously are pushing them to go IPO all the time. But as an employee, you really you keep hearing about this kind of mythical IPO, but you don't really know the nuances of the meat behind it.
Right.
But now they're actually doing it, so that's really great.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in this year, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
They were supposed to do it last year.
Yeah. I remember. And then, but I don't listen to a lot of business podcasts. One I listen to is Pivot with Scott Galloway, Kara Swisha. So they talk about Airbnb a lot, and the CEO Nathan and all that stuff. And it's a company that from afar actually looks really aspirational. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because it's like a tech company that also is a consumer brand.
Sorry, not Nathan, Brian. I just realized. Yeah.
Brian. But there's a co-founder called Nathan. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's one of those interesting things where it's like a tech company, but it's also a really well-known consumer brand with high brand equity.
Yeah. To be honest with you, when we first hopped on Airbnb in 2013, I did not think it would get to where it was today. Like even despite being a part of it, like it's you're like in that Uber category now, right? Where you are a colloquial term. Like you're no longer a company. You're essentially a noun.
You're a poster child.
Yeah. Like I never thought that would happen with Airbnb, to be honest with you. Because the concept still is a little bit weird, like you know, and I don't know, like if I'm not strapped for money, I don't know if I would let my apartment be for somebody else. But it's my primary residence. Like I get it as a secondary residence or house you're not using. Still a little weird though.
Yeah. If so, the empty nest syndrome, right? I think that's a real. One of the things that kind of got us started, right?
So just to clarify, when you say that, you mean like when children go leave for high school or college or whatever, and the parents have like this empty room. That type of feeling is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Trying to kind of utilize empty space, but at the same time package it with a human experience. Right. And then what really pushed us over the edge, like made us super popular, was ironically the financial crisis.
In 08?
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy. You guys been around for a while.
Since 07, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's a long time.
But it didn't really start picking up till like 2010, 2011.
Yeah. It's when you joined, I guess, right?
That's right, yeah.
What was that growth like? I guess especially for China, where you are such like a major plot.
So I don't remember the exact year. It might have been 2015. We grew 800%
annually
in 1 year.
That's insane.
It's crazy
for a company that size. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those situations where, okay, like, for example, Uber always says that they have a global network effect, where if they were first in America, and then they opened in Europe and then Asia, right? And they felt like each component of that network would contribute to the success and the health of the total network. But that's, in my opinion, not really true.
Right.
For that model.
Right. You guys would be a better example.
Airbnb is the perfect example of a true global network effect, right? Yeah. Like by bringing in and convincing Chinese that, hey, this is an alternative way of traveling, truly does benefit the whole network. And to the point where you remember in like 2016, Chinese were like the #1 outbound travel in the world, surpassing Germany and America and everything, right?
I think that trend has only increased, no?
Yeah. It did increase.
If you need some ice or whatever, just let me know.
No, I'm good, thanks. It did increase. I mean, what was it like? Japan's #1 traveler was Chinese people. Thailand's #1 traveler was Chinese people, right? And I remember when that first started happening. You remember those Weibo pictures where Chinese would go to Japan and they would go to the trees, the Japanese blossoms,
the blossom trees in the spring,
and they would shake them.
Oh, really?
Like they would like purposely shake them,
which you're not supposed to do. Right?
You're not supposed to touch them. You're not supposed to get on the grass.
Near them. Yeah.
And they would shake them and then take pictures of themselves with the leaves falling on their face.
Those are fucking worse, man.
And the Chinese hospitality bureau reached out to us and was like, we're getting a bad reputation globally for our outbound travelers. And we want to work with you guys to create like a 50-page handbook on how to train and help. And that's what we did.
Bro, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's like, I can imagine that is so rewarding because you get to a point where you're like, oh, wow, we're actually making a difference and you can see the results.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. In a completely foreign country, like you're a foreign brand here. Yes, you have local operators, but more or less you're foreign.
Right? Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, man. It's really crazy. Fuck, I was going to ask you something about this.
Yeah.
This is why I don't like drinking on this podcast, man. Like, it fucks with my brain when I would do this. Airbnb, the whole traveling thing. Oh, this is what I was going to say. One of the reasons why I respect so much about what you guys do is because I feel like traveling, in any way, form that you can promote it and grow it, is the purest form of education. traveling, especially like international traveling, right? So I've had the fortunate of kind of growing up in 3 different cultures at a young age. I was born in China, I moved to Germany when I was 3, and then to Canada when I was 10.
Wow.
Right? So not only was I very young, but those are 3 very different places.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like a lot of the issues that the world's looking at these days, ranging from racism to fill in the blank, can be kind of addressed by a systemic increase of international traveling at a younger age. Because it's the most pure form of education, right? Like you take...
So,
yeah, go.
How would you feel if I replied with... And in general, I do agree, but I've seen a trend, especially in the most recent years, where travel has become a catch-all phrase, and the young people, not just Chinese, but just young people everywhere, have treated travel as a commodity to enrich their social media clout, but not really enriching themselves.
Right.
Right.
I completely agree with that statement. But what I said was at a young age. So I mean is like, I feel like travel should be part of the kindergarten curriculum. Right? Like, let's figure out the school funding issue that we're dealing with. But like, I feel like once a year, you know, you should take a 6-year-old kid to not necessarily, you know, Paris and the Eiffel Tower, right? But like fucking Romania. Let's just go to Romania. You don't have to do anything. You can like, and I think this is actually maybe the key point is that this is not a volunteer build a fucking house trip, right? Like we ain't digging no wells for no countries. This is a like, we go for a month and you either do school there, you just hang out with Romanian kids there, and you just like chill. You go play soccer, you know, eat some bread. I don't know what they do there.
So in America, maybe even Vancouver, do you have a concept called Love Boat?
No, I've never heard of that.
Dude,
yeah.
so...
That sounds like a TV show. Like a dating show.
The official name is not Love Boat. Okay. It's a tour, okay? And it's only for Taiwanese Americans.
Ah.
It's really special.
Okay.
So what they do is, and there's no boat involved.
Okay.
They take Taiwanese Americans,
bad branding,
and they bring them to Taiwan to live.
I have heard
summer.
about this actually. Yeah. Some of my best friends are Taiwanese. One of my best friends, Alan, he's Taiwanese, Canadian. I think he did something like this. There were definitely people who did this.
Yeah. And they get to learn the language and the culture. But really, it's just a big drinking kind of fuckfest, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So it seems like all the people who get to experience travel in the early days are like, you know, well-to-do people, right?
Yeah.
And it's so unfortunate because, I mean, imagine if everybody had that type of opportunity, man. It's kind of,
It would be insane if everybody had that opportunity. But I want to kind of push back a little bit on what you said there. I think maybe we are only seeing those people because they posted, right? And maybe there's an equal amount or even a larger amount who are actually traveling for quote unquote the right reasons, right? Quote unquote, whatever that means, right? Who are going for a spiritual retreat, discovering, learning, whatever it is, and they're not posting about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. When you put it that way.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That reminds me.
Yeah.
Up until a couple years ago, I had this conception that I was seeing a lot of mainland Chinese people go over to California, Michigan, and whatnot.
Michigan?
Like, they would go to good schools.
Oh, okay, for schools.
Yes,
for
schools.
Yeah, for sure.
But they would not want, they had no intention of integrating, nor did they have intention of acclimating, right? And, you know, they would go eat Chinese food, and their friends would be all Chinese, right? And that's who I experienced a lot, right? And
okay.
And I thought that perhaps a large majority of this type of trend or people were doing this, right?
Yeah.
And somebody made a really interesting point to me. He says part of the reason why I might observe that is because while living in China and those people graduated and came back, that's who I met.
Yeah.
But if I went to America and lived there,
you
would meet the people that stayed.
Yeah. Wow. That's kind of like a cause effect thing, right?
Like I can't even see.
Yeah,
you know
bro,
what I mean?
that's a really good point. Because I'm 100% there. When we first went, you know, I went in 2000. You didn't have a luxury. Like you went there and you assimilated. There was no other choice, right? And then somewhere along the way, like Chinese kids now just go there. They stay Chinese. Like I have met girls and guys, you know, mostly girls in Shanghai who have done that. And they go and then they come back and they're the exact same person. It's like they never left Shanghai. Right? But the fact that we probably wouldn't notice that if we were on the other side, because, you know, we would just see the ones who stay in there assembly. It's a really interesting thought.
Yeah, so it made me put things into perspective. Like, I don't know, maybe we just can't trust all our observations, right?
We cannot. Like, I think you're a smart enough guy to know that already. We definitely can't trust that. Yeah. Cheers, bro.
Yeah, cheers. But we still do. Like, it's like a.
It's probably like an evolutionary thing, isn't it?
Like, we get the logic. Mm-hmm. Like, don't we all understand the logic of being happy? Yet none of us can.
Do you honestly think that the majority of people understand the logic of being happy?
I think a lot of well-traveled young people and let's just say intellectual people could understand and have their own definition of how to be happy. And I think the common denominator is simplicity, right?
Yeah.
Yet none of us are able to, or very few of us are able to really execute against it.
Interesting.
I don't know.
What's your background, if I may ask?
Yeah, so my dad is born in Tianjin.
Okay.
But
sorry, not your ethical background, which I would love to hear as well, but like your personal background, just to kind of tie back to what you're saying. Yeah.
So I was born in Oakland, in California. But and I was raised in the suburbs, right, like on a cul-de-sac. And when I was 17, I moved to Hangzhou, China, to attend an international school.
Okay, so that's where you came back. Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, I went to Hong Kong for university.
And what did you study?
I studied econ at the Chinese University of Hong Kong.
Me too, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the reason why I asked is, sorry, and I would love to hear about your dad in Tianjin, but it's just, I don't disagree, but for me, happiness is very different.
Oh.
So it's not, the common denominator for me is not simplicity, it's progress. And I don't even know if that's like a right or wrong thing. Like, I'm not saying that I'm right and you're wrong. I think probably both are true. Like, I think both are probably core components, maybe, right? But like, for me, the thing that makes me happy is progress. Whether that is something as simple as, finishing a movie, reading a book, seeing growth on this podcast. Like, our numbers this month, we just did our numbers for November, were really good compared to October. Growth. So that's why I asked. Yeah.
Success. Somebody said, I forget who.
Progress. Yeah.
Progress, right? Yeah. But if you, I think progress is a better describer. That's for sure. Yeah, that's true. I agree. Yeah. There's a saying that my dad likes to say. He goes, he's like really old. He's like 76.
Okay, it's not that bad.
Yeah. He goes, if I can start over again, if I had to choose between being a rock or being myself, I'd be a rock.
Wow.
Because think about that, right?
That's very wise. Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Because you don't know what you don't know, right? So
I'm just fucking chilling here all day.
yeah. And if you could, what is a rock? It's simple. It's you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I think a lot of people don't have that luxury. Once you open the veil or exit that cave, perhaps it is a one-way street. I actually have not met people who left the cave and then were able to come back and just be like, all right, I know what's out there and I'm just going to choose not to like observe it and be part of it.
So I'm gonna quickly jump. Just make sure we're talking about the same cave, right?
Yeah.
It's that Greek dude. I forgot who it was.
Plato.
It was Plato's cave, probably. Yeah, but basically, you're sitting in a cave chained with a bunch of other dudes, and you're seeing this thing on a projector or whatever they had back then.
Shadows.
There we go. It's like a projector.
Yeah.
And basically, one day you get off, you walk outside the cave, and you're like, "Wow, this is a whole new world." But what Plato basically said was some people, or all of them, I don't actually know, but a lot of people will choose to then go back to the cave because at least the cave is something right?
That's right.
I think so. We are clear. That's what you're referring to.
That's what I'm referring to. But I'm having a twist. I'm saying that
you've never met anybody who's gone back in the cave.
No. But I'm also saying that I think that when you exit the cave, I think what Plato got wrong was that when you exit the cave, you see fear, right? And then you come back in. But what I've seen recently is actually not fear. When you exit the cave, you see future. You see progress. You see
you're
success.
like Asian Plato. I like that. I'm gonna call you Asian Plato from now
Cheers.
on.
And so I haven't seen people come back in.
Yeah, that's so fascinating because just bouncing off the conversation that we had in the green room before we started recording, you've been here so long, and I know one of the things that you care about deeply is it's called progress. That the Chinese culture is made here, both on a personal level as well as on a group level.
Yeah.
Whether that's work or, WeChat Pay, whatever, but also on a personal level, right?
Yeah.
So do you think maybe that kind of influences how you see that? Because I would bet that if you went to somewhere that was in much more disparity, where there wasn't this much change and hope and energy, you might be like, yeah, I think a lot of people go back in the cave. Do you think how being here affects that?
So you're saying if somebody was less fortunate, right? And
no, I think what I meant was like you have been here for 15 years.
Yes.
The majority of people, as well as your personal life and your environment, has taken that mindset, that non-fear mindset, right? Because that's what Shanghai is. It's you grow both on an individual level, but also on a city level, and China has grown on a country level, and fill in the blank. But if you spend these last 15 years, let's say, in a fucking desert or in like a mining town, right? I think maybe that mindset might be a little different. You kind of want to just be like, okay, let's go back in the cave then, right?
I think, yeah. You're probably right. That said, if you take Los Angeles County as a small example, right? The majority of people who live there now are people who were born and raised in Los Angeles, right?
Oh, okay.
They're people from the Midwest. They're people from Wyoming. They're people from Northern California. And by the way, Northern California can be quite rural,
Yeah, for sure. California is huge.
Yeah,
right?
it's really big.
Yeah.
Central Valley, right?
Right.
And they're all going there to chase a dream. And I don't know the data on it. I can't tell you. But if you ask me my gut feeling, I don't think that those people who go to LA, and if this is an allegory or an analogy for something else, right, to what I'm trying to get at, which is when they see that level of what they could be, it's difficult for somebody to say, I'm going to give up what I think is my opportunity to reach that, to go back to what I was. Because what I was is defined, right?
Yeah.
That said, let's go back to China, for example. I mean, when I was doing, I was manufacturing dresses for quite some time.
Okay.
Before Airbnb.
Cool.
And we would go to Yiwu a lot. Yiwu, right? Zhejiang, right?
Adele has plugged Yiwu on his pocket. It's like, you gotta go to Yiwu. I was like, why the fuck would I go to Yiwu? There's a big Arabic culture there, apparently.
There is. Yeah.
Cool to check out. Yeah.
So when you go there, let's say that Yiwu was cut off, okay, and they never saw a Rolls Royce in their whole life, right? It would be very different because the people from Yiwu or who grew up there, or any city, tier 4 or 5 city, right? Part of the reason why I believe that they want to try for themselves is because there is a disparity, a huge divergence in who they are and what they are versus what they could be or what other people are, right? Like the income gap. And the problem is that they are integrated now, meaning that when you're walking down the street, you will see a Rolls Royce. So even if you were in the cave,
right,
you couldn't rationalize not seeing the Rolls Royce.
Yeah, it's like a little hole in the cave where you can like see outside, right?
You're forced to see.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Forced to see.
You're
forced
to.
It's the shadows. Yeah,
that's hard. That's hard, right?
Okay.
You can't rationalize that.
Yeah, so unless you're, I guess, in like an indigenous tribe somewhere in the Indonesian rainforest, it's probably difficult to kind of, especially nowadays with like Instagram, I would imagine, right? And social media in general.
Yeah. What was that? Like Papua New Guinea, where
around there.
They Australia went over with a helicopter and they like saw them for the first time. Imagine those guys, right?
Yeah.
For hundreds and hundreds of years, like you had nothing, and then you saw this flying metallic thing.
Yeah.
how can you go back?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question, man. I think some people would. I really think some people would. I don't know what the ratio is, but I think some people would.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's interesting though.
Oh, that's trippy to think about, man. Just like a giant metal box finally, like 20 years ago, whenever that was. It wasn't that long ago, probably. Being here 15 years and kind of seeing this change, I think for me, what has been really cool now talking to you about this is I can feel like this has affected you in a positive way. And I have found, like you've been here long enough to understand this. Shanghai's like a highway. There are multiple exits. Right, like some people here for an internship, they're for a language abroad. Yeah. It's a 2-year work thing. Then they meet somebody, they leave at 5 years. Whatever it is, it's like a highway. But I feel like I'm coming up on 7.5 now. You've been here much longer, obviously. People my time and longer, most of them say positive things. Like, it's actually pretty hard to find somebody who's been here 10, 12 years who's like, yeah, the shitty shit.
Shitty shit?
Shit, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, right? Like, why else would he still be here? So that's really interesting to kind of hear that perspective from you.
So I recently made more friends. One of my objectives for 2020 was to make more friends.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a great trend, yeah. COVID kind of fucked it up, probably. Right?
And some of the friends I've made are, a little older than me, and they've been in China for like 15 plus years, right?
Okay.
And the thing that I talk to them about sometimes is, yes, they agree that China is growing for the better and stuff like that, but I think they're forgetting one aspect, which is like, well, that's probably also because like you're making more money.
Oh yeah,
you know
probably.
What I mean?
Yeah, if you've been here 15 years, you're probably raking it in, right? It's just the compound interest on that.
Like there's more opportunity to make money, right?
That's exactly what I mean.
Let's say that all the cultural aspects was growing, and I don't believe that they could grow without the economic growth. But let's assume for a moment that they were silo, right? And the cultural aspect grew, but the economic aspect decreased, right? I don't think you would have
people
these
wouldn't be here,
right?
No, for sure. Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
I think a great example of that is some of the people you see who work in education here.
Okay.
Right. And I am not shitting on teachers, just so I'm clear on this, because I think teachers are the cornerstones of like our foundation. But what they could not be earning what they earn back home, wherever they're from, whether it's like Canada, US, South Africa, UK, wherever. Right? Like how much good teachers, good like career counselors, good like high school counselors, math teachers, all these, how much they earn here compared to back home is insane. And also how they get treated. Right? This is a good example of that. Like if that money wasn't there, I don't think as many of them would be here.
Yeah. Can I ask you some questions?
Sure. Whatever you want.
Yeah, man. Like, you've been here 7.5 years now. Like, what percentage of your friends are foreign versus like, what you would define as Chinese,
right.
Local?
So we will count like ABC types as foreign, right?
Yeah. Let's say.
I would say about 99% of foreign, and even the 1% who aren't are practically foreign.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're like probably some of your ABC colleagues at Airbnb.
Right. Right. Yeah. I know
that's
what you mean.
Probably what it was.
Okay. So like, let's say that, okay, fine, 90%, 99% of your friends are foreign, and people are foreign. Like, do you feel like Shanghai is it's weird how sometimes I feel like Shanghai is like this alien part of a China, where
it is very much
foreigners can live a very nice life,
for sure.
And okay, so I lived in Hong Kong, and they have a very segregated livelihood. Foreigners, they even have their own like football leagues, soccer leagues, completely separate from the local leagues, right? And how do you feel about that? Like, is Shanghai more integrated? Do you feel like it's becoming more integrated, or is it a safe haven for foreigners to just be like, nah, this is a, China for dummies, and I'm cool with it, and I want to be within this bubble.
Yeah. Dude, I've never had anybody ask me that. To kind of just the last part, it's definitely not a China for dummies. Like, that time has come and gone.
Okay.
For sure. But I play in a foreign-only football league here too. So that exact replica lifestyle, I also live here. Like, I have a very wide range of friends, I would say. Like, I have my soccer friends who are like very like they're like those Hong Kong guys. Like their fucking lives. I'm sorry if anybody's listening to this. I love you guys, but their lives revolve around this. Like, their entire Saturday is wake up, go to the game, take 6 hours, drink after, and go out after.
Wow.
That is for a lot of them their peak of their week. Their entire social circle revolves around there. A lot of their work revolves around there. But Shanghai, I think, is a more unique place because it is. I've always said Shanghai attracts a broken soul. Like, it attracts somebody who did not fit where they were. At least when I came, maybe now it's different, but it attracted people who did not fit where they were and needed like a fresh start, like kind of what Paris was in the 1800s. Like these romantic places that